Welcome to Business Talk Sister Gawk. I'm Becca, and today's episode topic is how to meet transitional care needs through real estate. And I have with me today Tom Schotec from Standard Homes, LLC. Thank you for being with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this conversation. And the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you do?
So I started a company. Always have been into buying real estate and selling it, fixing it up and flipping it. And we added in, we made it more into a service business now. And so what we do is that our primary focus is senior citizens, where people have lived in the same house for 10, 20, 30. A lot of people have been 50 years. And as you know, you've been in the houses where they got a lifetime of stuff. And when they go to finally downsize, it could be to assisted living, it could be to a one-level home. They could be moving from, say, northern Minnesota, where we live, all the way down to Kansas. We're relocating a family down there now. What do they do, and how do they get rid of the home, and what do they do with all their personal items? So I've really dialed in that as far as a service. So what we offer is we buy the home with all deferred maintenance, meaning, as time marches on, they just don't take care of the house like they used to, just because it just doesn't matter anymore to them. So the home might need a roof, window, siding. The whole property could use landscaping, whatever it might be. There's just a lot of deferred maintenance. And then what do you do with all the personal property? That's the big thing. And they got a lifetime of stuff there that they don't need anymore. From the garage, from the exterior of the property with trailers, boats, four-wheelers, tractors, full estates. And so we buy the home as is with all deferred maintenance. We buy all the personal property, everything. We don't pick and choose because they all still have the same problem if we just take half of the good stuff without the bad stuff.
Right, because then it'll still be there on the property.
Exactly. Yeah. So we purchased the full estate. And then with that, we offer the relocation package and the new home setup. So what we do, prime example right now, we're doing one in Duluth, Minnesota, 96 years old. And when you're 96 years old, your children are old. Their children are 67 to 75. And
not really moving quality.
No, and they just don't have the energy to, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we have 3 people there. And it's literally drawer by drawer. So we're going through the bedrooms, the kitchens, the garage, and literally opening up the drawer. Do you want this to take it with you, or do you want to leave it? Do you want this with you, or do you want to leave it? And we go through the entire home, regardless of the size. And then we package up everything in boxes. It's professionally done. They're all labeled. And then whatever's left behind, we purchase it. So they don't have to worry about a garage sale or worry about anything. And then we transport it, meaning, we do a complete estate move. And then when we get to the new house, we call it a new home setup. So we're putting the dressers where they want them, the bedroom sets where they want them. We hang the photos where they want them. We put the coffee cups where they want. Whatever it is, it is. And again, we don't pick and choose. We just don't do half of it, what's easy, and then leave. And that's what we do. So that's what separates us from everyone else, is that we buy the home as is condition, no matter what it is. We'll purchase the whole estate, and I'm talking from boats, four-wheelers, vehicles, whatever it might be. And then we help pack, and then we relocate them to wherever they want to be. Some just want to go to assisted living. One, we're moving from greater northern Minnesota out of a big lake home all the way down to Wichita, Kansas. That's where her daughter lives.
Okay.
And so regardless of the move, again, we don't get to pick and choose. So we offer so we're actually a service-based company, and we finally get paid when we fix up the house and then sell it.
Yeah, well, and that seems like a pretty significant investment, because I was reading some of your material, and it was a cash offer on everything. And so what's the timeline on when this start to finish with one client typically?
So I would say we're realistically 6 to 9 months.
Okay, wow.
Because once the phone rings, then we schedule a site visit, and then we take a look at what they want and what they need. And then it just takes time because this is the biggest tool that I think we bring is when they make that decision to move. That's, we call it a life transition because it's 90% of our clients, that's the last move they'll ever make. And so when they start talking about it, maybe it's just a single spouse, maybe it's a couple, because at that age, a lot of them have passed just because of time. And they just don't know when they can move because they start taking a look at it and it's just like, okay, whatever it might be. I got to paint the house. I got to clean up the house. I got to clean up the garage. I got to.
It becomes really emotionally
Oh,
overwhelming.
and it's
for sure.
extremely over. And pretty soon, as we all know, time goes by pretty fast. And all of a sudden, they're there for another year because they just haven't taken the initiative. It's another year and another year. And what we do is we really bring a sunset to that date. So when they're there, and it's just like, prime example, just use the one because we're talking about in Duluth. She was looking at 1 to 2 to 3 years, and she was under the impression that she might not even ever leave the house. Worried about the winters coming because of just it's ice and slippery. And she actually, a friend of ours got one of our direct mailers and brought it over and says, just call these guys. So it went from 2 years, 3 years from now to possibly never leaving the home to 90 days, completely done. And so we gave the money on this one up front, so for her to go get an apartment. So it went from not moving to 2 weeks later, we gave the down payment for her apartment. 2 weeks later, she was moved into her apartment, and we still haven't even closed on it. I think the closing's in a week or two. And so it went from a couple of years out to literally this one 60 days from start to finish done.
Okay.
So
And that's something I had just so many questions about. So first, do you have to have any sort of license or training to start this type of business?
no, we're just no, you do not. In the state of Minnesota, you do not. You got to be a legal business LLC, and then we carry all the insurances and everything and bonded. But no, you do not need any licenses to get into this business.
Okay.
So,
And so I guess I want to come back to why do you do what you do? How did you see this as a need?
so it all started actually from a family friend, and she had heard that, I buy real estate and then fix it up and sell it. And I was just kind of doing one at a time. And so she had it's a huge house. And in fact, I still own it. And there's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lifetime of stuff, like a lot. And her husband had passed away from cancer. She had developed cancer and called up and went and looked at her house. She's got no children, no living relatives. So there's no one to leave the photos to. There's no one to take care of the tax returns. We shred all those on site. There's just nobody to take care of anything. And so went and looked at her house, and she goes, yeah, I would sell you the house. I can't even remember the amount right now, but like, this is what I want. And then whatever she doesn't spend is going to go to the church. But what do I do with the clutter? Because, at that age, you just can't take care of it. And so we came to an agreement where I'll buy everything on the site and then buy the real estate. And then through that, bought the home, relocated the stuff she wanted relocated. And then like 2 days later, she called up and says, you have no idea. Like, you changed, you altered what I have left in such a positive way. You took all the burden. I was able to move. I was able to downsize. And then whatever happens with my health from here forward, it just took all the stress out of this. And she goes, I really want you to focus on people my age. And she's just like, put an ad in the paper, do what you got to do, but you don't understand how many people are sitting at home in my situation, not knowing if there's any outlet at all for them. And that's where it all started. And from there, just started to do a little bit of marketing. Now we have every day every day we have someone calling, or multiple times a day, about full estates. And it could either be from the children, which are big ones that call. We're dealing with ones right now that the kids don't even live in the state of Minnesota. They live around the country, but they're trying to help mom and dad do what they need to do to get into a one-level facility or assisted living or nursing home, whatever it might be. But that's where it all started. And then from there, you spend a lot of time at the kitchen table. You spend a lot of time at the kitchen table with these people, and you just listen to them and the issues that they're having. And it could be health issues, it could be unexpected death in their family, whatever it might be. And then we started to really just hone in on the services that these people, because I mean, it's a gratifying service. It's not like a service like you're an industrial builder and you're trying to figure out a better way to design a kitchen. These are like literally life issues that the people are having and their family members are having. And that's what we do. We really dial in on it. Like, how can we take that transition in life and make it into a smooth, effortless, and 100%. Just, you want that final move for them to be gratifying. And we've really dialed it in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So.
And how long have you been in business for?
Oh, been doing, I don't know, over 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, buying real estate and selling it. But yeah, and this is, I think, 2017 or it was actually into it pretty deep, I think, in 2018.
Okay.
So it's been about 5 years.
So the next question I have with this, because I can see your passion for it and your care for people, but how do you turn that into making sure that you can run a profitable business?
So it comes down to taking a look at the whole package, because there's a lot of moving parts in this. And, if you're going to get into this, which there's people that are, because we're literally the only ones in the country that do this in the United States right now.
Okay.
And so people are watching my model and they're trying to duplicate it. And people are looking at it as a profit center, just trying to get their hooks into the house. And it's not, it's a service orientated business. And when you take a look at it, you got to take a look at the whole thing. Like, what do they need? What services can you provide? And then what condition the house is in. It's a big mathematical equation, and you have to be able to front 100% of the money. Because most of them don't have money to relocate, to get into an apartment. It's just a massive flow of cash. And then you got to be able to make sure that the acquisition of the house is purchased right, to where, because it's still their house, their money. And you have to go into it with that mindset, but it's got to work for both sides, per se. And so it just comes down to knowing your market very well, or having a realtor or an appraiser that's willing to work with you on every project, saying, yeah, that house, and these are just numbers, but yeah, that house, if you buy it as is today, has a market value of $100,000. And so you got to figure out, like, okay, if that has a market value of $100,000 today, but I'm going to have, $8,500 into moving these people to northern Minnesota down to the Iowa border. These are just examples, but and then you have all the deferred maintenance and the house cleaning, and so it's just knowing your market, knowing the construction, knowing the rehab costs. And if I was going to tell someone, or someone asked me, like, hey, I want to get into what you're doing, the first thing I would tell them is just forget about the profit and focus on the service. Just, what do these people need? Because every family's different. We've never had two of them go the same. And focus on the service and find out what your hard costs are going to be. Find out that you can even afford to do the service. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these we're going to be doing, it's a $20,000 move. And then knowing your real estate and your environment. But knowing the service is number one, knowing what they need, sit down, even if it takes a full day at the kitchen table, find out what the family needs, and then figure it out from there backwards.
Okay. So with that being said, and you have to do all of these different steps, are there times where you say, this is just isn't a good fit for us?
Yeah, yes, and it's actually, unfortunately, it's more times than not. It's just that sometimes, that for multiple reasons, maybe there's multi-family members involved, and I always put it as an example, like everybody's got an uncle that knows a lot, but so he's in the middle of it, and he's going to handle the move. He's going to, and it just there's we offer an amazing service, but sometimes there's a lot of family drama
Yep.
in the middle over the personal property or the real estate. And sometimes you're just better off saying thank you, but no thank you, because there's going to be issues. Unfortunately, and a lot of people took reverse mortgages. And all of a sudden, we go to pay off their mortgage and we find out that there's over 400,000 of compounded interest of just on and the reverse mortgage is the worst thing that they could ever do, because the compounding interest in just 5 years is triple of what the house is, and they will not take a payoff. I mean, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They see the commercials on TV, and so they get $100,000 reverse mortgage, and all of a sudden there's 485,000 with compounded interest. So there's a lot of different, and some homes, unfortunately, just the way things are such a depleted community, where the crime is so bad, and the we just can't buy the house just because of
The location of it.
yeah,
is
yeah.
Not safe, right?
It's just not safe even for our own crews to go there, or theft or breaking in. So unfortunately, we would love to help every single person, but right now we just can't. So location is important. Safety is important. The whole it's like I said, there's 20 different variables, but we help a lot of people every week, and just wish we could help them all, but we can't right now.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you've been taking some big moves with your business, just in it sounds like a merger is going on right now.
Yeah, so we're, of course, everybody, everyone's tried to hire a contractor. Everyone's trying to get someone, in the last 3 to 5 years, it's just a national crisis. And so we just keep on buying houses. We keep on relocating people. And it's been a real struggle because we want to produce the best product out there. And we actually ended up bringing all of our construction to a stop, but we kept on buying inventory until we've been through a 6 months of just interview process of we've been actually running ads on a national scale to buy a construction company or merge with somebody. And so this has been going on for about 90 days, and just with this one company, but the process has been longer. And now they're up here now. We're remodeling a house I would say it's about an average every 15 to 20 days. We're going to be able to do one. And with that, there's, and the workmanship is impeccable. And that's the other thing I would tell anyone who's getting into this is you have to have that lined up with somebody you can trust. Because right now there's a lot of sharks out there. And they'll take the down payment and they'll disconnect their. I mean, I could tell you 1,000 different stories, but the construction part, everything is critical to make this machine work, from the buying part to the service that you provide. But the rehab, if you cannot control your cost, if you do not know how to buy your materials, and the most important, you got to have skilled labor. So we use, the merger that we're doing right now with them, it's a process.
Well,
because
and let's just pause on that because I have more questions,
yeah.
but we're going to talk about it in the next episode
Okay.
because I think there's so much more there for anyone who wants to kind of run this type of business. So, how about you tell me where people can find you?
So, first of all, we got an 800 number, and so that's 833 403 2020. You can call or text 218 208 3883. Otherwise, we have a great website. It's standardhomesllc.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to transition to the gawk portion
Yep.
of this episode.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and you had said that you have a story about the house that you're currently living in.
Yeah. So, we talked on the phone prior, and something that's a memory that's either funny or something that you'll never forget. And so I get a phone call one day, and I actually moved into the house, and it's Lester Hallforce, and he's in his 90s. His wife is already in assisted living. She fell. They sold their house down south, kind of the first winter back, I believe, and then she broke her hip. And so she's never going to be home again. And they're lifetime sweethearts. And so whatever, he called me up and went and sat at the kitchen table, and this one conversation ran into another, and the whole day went by. And he is just a phenomenal guy. And so he's the full estate. It's the there was a Denali in the driveway, John Deere tractor, the whole thing. I mean, it's right down to literally the pictures on the wall. And, the clothes that he was leaving, they don't need anymore, and the whole thing. And so, yeah, we go through the whole process. A couple days later, we talk again, and we come to an agreement on the whole thing, the house, and it's a beautiful home. On a private lake, it's just the whole thing was perfect. And so he's just like, well, I just don't want the car, so I need you to buy the car, because he says I'm forfeiting my driver's license now. And so I ended up buying the car. So I go to his house, and he's just like, I want you to give me a ride to assisted living in my car, then you could just drop me off and take the car with you. So that's what we do. And so we're sitting in the car, and he's got a watch. He's got it, it's on his wrist. And it's a nice piece of jewelry, and he takes it off and he gives it to me. He says, he says, you altered my life. He says, because, so what happened was that she was already in assisted living, and then he was at home. Now they spent their whole life together, literally. And when he was able to go to assisted living, they could have a joint room. So they were able to spend whatever they have left together. And he says, like, you altered. He said, I literally thought we were going to die apart. And he said, this service and what you do, you paid a fair price. I want you to take this watch and remember me. And he says, because where I'm going, time doesn't matter anymore. That's the truth. And so that happened. And then a couple days later, he called up, and he was just like so grateful. And it wasn't 4 or 5 days later, her health slipped, and she ended up passing away. But he called up just saying, if it wasn't for you, I would have never had that time. And that's probably the most gratifying moment since we've been in business. Yeah. And but that's the impact that this service has on these people. And but yeah, every bit of that is true. And actually, I would have had it on today. You can see the tan ring, but I got to get a new band for it. But and I caught it at work. But yeah, Lester's house. And so I still live in it today, and think about him all the time. Him and his wife, just phenomenal people. So yeah.
I've never almost cried on a podcast recording before, but you are getting me close.
Yeah. No, that's what. So you fast forward this, and this service is like I said, and people are trying to get into it. They hear our marketing, they'll hear this podcast, and they think about it as a business opportunity, a cash cow. I mean, I've been told everything, like I want to do what you can do just to get the hooks into real estate. and everyone looks at it the wrong way. The story I just told you is almost 100% across the board with every single person we service, is reconnecting family members, getting grandparents from northern Minnesota across the country, knowing that they have cancer, knowing that they only have 24 months left, knowing that they want to be with their grandchildren. You know what I mean? But that's the service that we created, or I created, I guess. And I think that it's just moving forward from here. And and the services, we're broadening our services even further now. And, I suppose in the next one we can talk about that. But anyways, yeah, that's the journey we've been on so far. So, yeah.
And thank you so much, Tom, for being with me. This has been such a beautiful podcast, quite honestly.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope more people get into the business. I hope that it's a big, as we know, the American population is aging every day. And
is it like 10,000 boomers a day retire?
yeah, I think I follow that actually. I think it's 20 million or 25 million people in 2004 or 24 to 25 are entering the age of where they got to exit. Not because of physical, all of it, but I mean, just, like I'm a prime example. I'm an empty nester, meaning my kids are gone. So I had a bigger home, and Lester's was smaller. So that's why I ended up selling a house that was quite a bit bigger. And then same with these folks, it's just, they just want to downsize. They need to downsize, especially in the northern climates where they can walk outside and slip and fall. And, we all hear about that. And they just don't want to take care of big properties anymore. But the problem is they all feel, everyone, they walk around and they don't have the energy as they used to. They just don't have the money or don't want to spend the money. And they're just walking around their real estate and they look at it like, you know what, we should sell, but who's going to do the work? Or they want to do the work and they call for months and no one returns the phone calls, or they get a roofer that comes out. That's just an example. Or it could be anyone, a painter. And yeah, I'll get you an estimate. Never hear from them again. And finally, they just throw the towel in.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what, we're just too tired and too exhausted.
Well, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more of how you're meeting that need in the next one. So if you enjoyed this episode, join us for the next one. And you should give this episode a review on wherever you are listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.